Glad to be here on the free webinar about personal branding with Nathaniel Schooler. I think he's going to be with us in any seconds. Nathaniel, are you live on?
Hello, how are you doing? Lovely to see you.
Thank you very much. I think Jason is somewhere.
Fantastic. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Morning.
To you
Good
both.
morning. Good morning.
Yeah, it's 3 p.m. here. I hate to think what time it is for our guest. I get a bit lost with Australia. She's going to hop on in a minute. She's amazing. Got the best guest today.
Lauren Clemett from the Ultimate Business Popular down under in Australia. We have that honor and luck to have her with us today. So I'm going to leave my place to our two gentlemen here that are going to, display some information and great examples of personal branding because the show is going on. That's what's the edition now? 3, 4?
Third.
It's so passionate.
Well, it's a great topic.
I lost track of time, the amount of webinars I'm doing with you guys. So for now, I'm gonna leave my place to the share screen, and you guys can start and kickstart the show and the free webinar for the audience. Thank you for coming, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so a quick shout out to my BBTV and Stéphane Mitral for hosting this. We appreciate it. So we're talking with Nathaniel Schooler, personal branding expert, author of Cheers to You, a book that you released recently. I immediately went out and bought and has been getting great reviews. I think we'll put a link in the comments at some point, and hopefully our viewers can go check that out. So today's topic, what we wanted to share with you is the critical importance of being able to explain what you do in a concise form and how important that is to personal branding. So Nathaniel, what's wrong with using industry jargon in your explanation of what you do? Isn't that how people in the field identify one another?
Well, that's a very good question, actually. I mean, I think that the major problem with that is that people outside of the industry don't know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And they could potentially be very great referral partners. They could be fantastic introducers. I mean, I know someone who got introduced by his grandmother to his dream employer. If she didn't know enough about what he actually did, then he would not have even had a conversation with his dream employer. And generally, this is the major problem, is that people get lost. They get lost in the words, in the symbols after their names as well. I don't have a problem with that. My dad's got 3 degrees. His dad and him both went to MIT. Hi Ingrid, thank you. And so they all had names, letters after their names and things like this. It's okay, but the thing is that actually, yes, that's going to give you some more authority and credibility, but it's not going to tell people what you do. Yeah. And lots of people have these problems. And it really, you see, here's Tim. No, Tim, I've actually got my slippers on because I work from home. Classic. So I spent some time working with Tim Elliott, and it really gave him a lot more focus for his personal brand. It helped him to become a lot more honed in on what he was doing. I wasn't actually going to use an example from Tim today, but he recorded a testimonial video, because I spent some time working through the process that you've seen in the book. And actually I was taught by a time-honored expert in that field. And that process was passed down through around 100 years. It was passed down from there was an age-old advertising company called Leo Burnett, and that was actually bought out by the Publicis Group, who you probably are aware of. And they rebranded it as something ridiculous, like I don't know, like something Quadrant 74 Space Age something like they do, and they killed all the heritage of that brand, So I was taught these processes, and the gentleman that taught me these, he actually used to write speeches for the president of Malaysia. work with Krug, Champagne, Remy Martin, Cognac, etc., etc. So yeah, it's fascinatingly interesting. I mean, just to give you an example, a lot of the people I work with are very experienced in their field, like yourself. You know, you've been around for quite a long time in that particular area, and you specialize. But the thing is that you wear multiple hats, right? I mean, I think you as an individual, you explain what you do fairly simply. But a lot of people like Tim, like John Lawson, who does so many different things, we went through what he did. And in fact, he does so many different things that he was even confused about what he did. So we worked through this process, and we gave him 5 different statements for what he does.
Okay.
And those statements he can use in whichever place he feels that his ideal customer is, or ideal client. So for example, he's an influential industry spokesperson, a motivational keynoter, and a frustrated comedian. Okay. So he can use that in that specific place. Okay.
Right.
If he wants to be a bit more authoritarian, he can use a different one, which is that he's a trusted marketing mentor, an entrepreneur, and CEO of Colder Ice Media. So he can push into the marketing field, you see. So everybody has multiple explanations for what they do. And I just think it's really important to just nail that and hone it down, really. But I think Stefan's got a couple of slides, yeah? And hopefully he might be able to drop those in now. I've just got all these notifications going off, so I get a bit confused, Jason, I'm afraid. So this slide here is, yes, that's me. And I was standing, you've heard this story before, I know. And it's a great story because the guy on the boat there with the yellow shirt on, he's got pictures of guns all over his shirt. And whilst nobody tells you what he does, it's quite evident that he is a criminal, because every single picture on his shirt is a picture of a gun. And in fact, he was sitting in the passport office when I've arrived to cross over the border. He's actually the captain of the boat as well. And then an army guy, a general's shown up with a guy with a massive machine gun that it was ridiculous. I think it had a rocket launcher on it as well. And they knew what this guy did. When we got to the other side of the border, he walked straight into the other country like he owned that country, and no one said anything to him. He said 3 words in Spanish. They said nothing, and they knew what he did, right? He didn't even need to explain what he did. The pictures of guns on his shirt said, look, I'm going to kill you if you mess with me because I'm a criminal, right? Sorry if anyone's watching, from maybe he won't watch this, hopefully. I'm not saying which country this was, but everybody knew what he did. Yeah. And this is the problem that we've got, is that we're in a place of I would call it hyperbole is the word. I didn't even know what the hell that meant until a few years ago. Because I've been doing a lot of reading, I've worked with some very intellectual people, and that is just basically all of these words that mean absolutely nothing to the general population, right? And it's kind of ridiculous. So can we step on to the next slide, please? Over in the HQ. Oh, maybe it's not. I don't. Oh, here we go. So yeah, exactly. This is the one that I posted up last week. It's like, what do you do? This lady doesn't know. She doesn't know what people do. So can we skip on to the next one? I've only got one more slide, and this is quite important. These are the things that we're going to cover building next time in the next session next week, building your authority and credibility. And those are key parts of a personal brand and a business brand as well, really. So did you have anything to add, Jason, to that? Or
yeah, I find that I see this a lot with medical professionals. You get a doctor and you get a specialist, and if the doctor is referring a patient to that specialist, that's okay. Right. And I'm sure you'll see this a lot in the marketing world as well, the more erudite and confusing of what you do is, you're backed off from the public, and they don't even know. Most people don't even know what a copywriter is. They think it has to do something with trademarks, right? and protecting your intellectual property rather than somebody who crafts a selling message, right?
Yeah.
So if the person, the patient, is being directed by the doctor to the specialist, then it's kind of okay, right? That relationship, they understand each other. But if you're outside of that and you want to go straight to the specialist, you can't. You don't even know what to Google, right? Yeah. You're looking for what term do I use? So it's alienating and confusing if you weren't clear about it. One of my favorite examples, there was this big, tall guy who was, when I was working in my first job in the States as a senior consultant to a sales training firm, we had in our building a guy who looked like a retired football player. And he worked in IT, right? He was a computer guy, and it was such a big mismatch. And he would always say, he would kind of mumble it, "I fix stupid computers." And it was the best. It was the best IT branding because it was perfect, right? And he had no problem getting clients because he didn't get into jargon. He didn't alienate or confuse anybody. Imagine taking a grade 1 student who's just learning 2 + 2 or something, and they may not even be there yet, and giving them an algebra problem to solve. Yeah. They lack the foundation to get it, right? And it's exactly the same thing. If you're using all these words that are up here about your industry and your field, right? They're just not going to get it. So when it's right, Nathaniel, what does it sound like? Other than "I fix stupid computers." It's
just easy, right? It's benefit led. I mean, like John Lawson, one of his statements is that he's an opportunity creator, an audience monetizer, and a value deliverer. Yeah. So those are just some of the words that we put together. And it really is just dependent upon the business goals and the outcomes and the benefits that you offer for people. Because at the end of the day, you got to offer benefits, right? And it's simple as that, really. But I think Lauren, who's patiently waiting, thank you, Lauren, to jump in. I think we should bring her in and ask her what she thinks about this. Hopefully, she's going to agree, because she's been in brand marketing a lot longer than I have, and she's got this process called neuro branding that she has created, I believe, herself. I'm sure she's going to fill us in on that. Hey, Lauren.
Right now, we're looking at awards night.
She's coming.
That must have been
she's
fun.
Coming.
Yep, she's here all the way.
Morning, guys. Hi, how are you?
In the morning. Good morning, Lauren.
Lovely to see you.
When somebody's clear, I'm going to drop you right into the deep end here, Lauren. When somebody's clear and concise about what they do, zeroing in on that message, matching of message to market, right? I'm not going to talk about the 50 things I do. I'm just going to zero in on this one thing. Why does that work?
It's because the brain wants things simple. It's really, it's as simple as that. It's back to that, keep it simple. So there's this really odd thing that the brain does when it meets somebody for the first time. And if you think about a time you've been networking with people, it wants to put people in a box. It wants to figure you out. Do I trust you? Do I run a mile from you? Do I stop and talk to you? Do you have anything that's worthwhile? What's in it for me? It's just trying to figure you out within split seconds so that it can figure out, what do I do with this person? So
it's less about you as the broadcaster of this message and more about them, then, is what I'm hearing.
Hell yes, yeah. Any elevator pitch is probably 99% about them. It's not about what you do. It's really interesting.
Okay. So when people are working with you, Nathaniel, let's start with you. What's the most surprising thing that they forget about themselves that you draw out of them with your process?
That's a great question, actually. I think a lot of people forget why they're different and or better than anyone else. They lose track with what makes them special, and sometimes you've got to take them right back to the beginning of where they've come from and sort of sit there maybe for an hour or two and kind of just listen to what happened to them in their early career. Like, for example, Stephen Monaco worked in in one of the most amazing. He had to share an office suite with one of the most legendary men at Warner Brothers ever. And this guy, and Stephen and I, we talked about this, and he said, yeah, I shared a suite with, so I forget the chap's name, but he has still to this day, he's passed away, but Stephen shared this 2,500 square foot suite. And I don't think the guy, maybe he didn't even know who he was, but he listened to him all the time, and everything at the age of 23. Hey, Stephen, at the age of 23, all of that great information went into Stephen's brain, and then he founded a company that he built. It's a 50 million turnover with 350 staff, because he got the principles just from that amazing thing that happened to him. You know,
who was it, Stephen? Fill us in. I'm intrigued now. I want to know.
I forget what the chat was. He was quite
in the chat.
Some sort of problem with his brain this morning, but I'd love to know from Stephen who it was. So, because it's so true, Nathan, absolutely true that you forget, especially if you've been in business. I think Malcolm Gladwell said if you've been doing something for 10,000 hours, which is about 5 years, you do forget what your conscious competence is. It just becomes unconscious.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. The first part of personal branding is taking people back to their roots, big time.
Okay. It's fun. You love what you do as well. It's great.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You get some skeletons out of the closet, I tell you. It's really interesting. There was one fascinating woman, actually. She told me when she was a child, because I go back even to childhood.
Cool.
And what their natural skills were. She loved, now I've got to get this right. She grew up in her family. Her father had a milk round. He was a milkman for a little while. And she and her brothers had to go out early in the morning, and it was still dark. And she hated it. She hated the milk round. But she loved coming home afterwards and counting the money. And she had a little slider that would slide the coins down. And she loved the smell of the money and the sound of the money. Guess what she became? What was her industry? What did she become?
Banker.
She became an accountant. Yeah.
An accountant. Yeah.
So she loved money. So it was just, all these natural skills and talents. There's a bespoke jeweler that I work with. He's actually English. He's an amazing guy. He's in here in Australia, and he loved making model aircraft and model cars and things. And he would make specific, exactly the right replica, the right stickers in the right place. And he's become this amazing, very specific bespoke jeweler. In his lifetime. So, you have these things that happen.
So, Lauren, what is a first step that a viewer watching today can take to start understanding or creating this easy-to-understand explanation for themselves?
Absolutely. I've actually got a formula for it, which makes it quite easy for people. I like formulas and systems and processes, especially if they work with the brain. And Nathaniel, I didn't come up with neurobranding, unfortunately. There's an amazing guy in Germany called Peter Steidl, who we should definitely have on the show, who started really looking into neurobranding, which is basically how the brain sees brands, and sees as in, quote marks. Because the brain sees brands with emotion. And it stores it in the memory so that you can remember exactly what that person feels like to deal with. And that's why people choose you, because they like you. Simple, really. So, but no, I've got a formula for it. It's called the BEST formula. And I have to say that with a slightly Australian accent, unfortunately, because I've lived here too long. I'm a Kiwi, but I live in Australia and I've picked up the accent. But BEST formula, if you write BEST down the side of your page, BEST, the formula is really, really simple. So you start off with B, and basically it's all about being clear. And that's exactly what you said, Jason, before. Don't waffle, like Nathaniel. Don't use jargon. Just simple, plain language that a 12-year-old could understand.
Yeah.
So if you ever want to test out your elevator pitch, go and find a 12-year-old and tell them what you do, and then ask them, so tell me, what is it I do? And if they can explain it better than you can, you're on target, you're away. So but B, be clear. E, exactly who you help. It's what you said before, Jason. It's not about you. It's all about them. So exactly who is it that you help? Because as Nathan said before, it's all about referrals, eh? It's the grandma knowing exactly who you help, so that when she runs into that guy where did she run into him? At the supermarket or something? Where was she? She's down at Waitrose or something, and she ran into some guy who's perfect for your business. So, but she needs to know exactly who it is you help.
Yeah, it was her next door neighbour. It was her next door neighbour. Isn't that interesting? It's crazy. It is crazy. But I think you're right. I think the more specific you can be, the better, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just focused on a specific age group, specific amount of years in the industry, sort of, I would say roughly 50 to 57 years old, could be a little younger or a little older, 20 to 30 years experience in that particular field. And that's my sweet spot. I'd rather work with those guys because they have all those amazing experiences, and they've forgotten decades ago why they're so amazing.
Yeah. And they think everybody knows, don't they? They think everybody knows how to do what I do, don't they? Doesn't everybody know how to do that? They know how to finance a multi-million property deal? Of course they do. Everybody knows exactly how to do that.
No, that's the curse of knowledge, that thing. Once you know something, you just forget what it's like to not know it. And
and
it happens all the time.
It's what I call expert ease. It's the stuff you do with ease that other people find difficult. That's why it's called expert ease. And you just forget that you're really good at that. So BE, be clear, exactly how you help. S stands for solve a problem. Because it's absolutely pointless. And I love that elevator pitch from that guy, Jason, I fix stupid computers. The word stupid is really important in that whole pitch. Because I fix stupid computers. I don't fix huge computers or clever computers or online computers. I fix stupid ones, which is just perfect, because everybody's got a stupid computer. I know I do every now and again. Normally it's a problem between the desk and the computer, actually, but, it's the way it goes. So solve a problem. It's really important that when you introduce yourself, you're telling people, what do I fix? What do I do for people? So, and the T of best is tell them why. Everybody needs to know your purpose. Everybody needs to know why you're so passionate about that. Because what's the point in working with someone who's just going through the motions, doesn't really care? It was a great saying. A fabulous guy called Adam Hudson was here in our place running webinars the other day because we've got really fast internet. I think he's a teenager in reality. He came here and ate our food and used our internet. So we were joking he was a teenager.
Don't worry, I'm going to come and do that. I'm going to come and do that next year. Maybe this year, you never know.
You're very welcome, Nathaniel. Our place is always open for people who do cool things.
Thank you.
But he said to me, you've got to give a gas. You've got to have gas in your business. And I said, what's gas? He said, you've got to give a shit. You've got to really care about stuff. So you need to tell people, why do you give a shit? Why do you care? Because that's why people choose you.
Yeah, well, you have to have passion. You have to have passion. I mean, he's asking about, is starting what you are passionate about a good way to start? Definitely. Like if you're not enjoying what you're doing in life, in your career, then you're in the wrong business. And if you are in the wrong business or the wrong place, like why would you want to build your personal brand to create more hell on earth? Do you know what I mean? Like it's just pointless, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, isn't it? When you get excited, happy, passionate people, you naturally attract the people that want to work with you. It's easy. That's like you said before, Jason. There's no selling involved. It's just laws of natural attraction. Simple, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We were talking about that. Sorry to interject. Yeah, we were talking about that, Stefan and I, yesterday, about the marketing automation and how with the latest software, you can actually pinpoint exactly the right people who not only are your ideal customers, clients, but they're ready to buy already. They need the minimal amount of education because they're already at the point of wanting to buy. And it's like, it takes away this whole kind of pain in your chest, which is like this anxious feeling of, you've got to work with me. You need to understand this. And it's like, but actually they don't really care. They're not ready yet. Yeah. It's funny. The whole lead funnel is broken. I think this is what I said yesterday. It's broken into thousands or hundreds of thousands of pieces. Yeah. And for everybody that's watching, a lead funnel is just a gauge, which gauges, it takes people through a process where at the beginning, they don't know who you are. They don't know they need what you have. And then at the end, they say, yes, I want what you have. But hey, if we find those people who want what we have, doesn't that make life just so great? It's just brilliant.
Yeah, the normal sales funnel's a real pressure cooker, isn't it? It just, the pressure goes on you and on the person you're trying to talk to. Yeah. And it gets turned up and turned up and turned up until eventually they either run away screaming or they buy your product. It's horrible.
Right. Imagine you could find people whose behavior indicated they were already looking for, interested in, studying around the area in which you solve that problem, right? And that's what that account-based marketing server is good for.
About absolutely. And the interesting thing, Jason, is that that's the way the human brain works. There's a chemical in the brain called dopamine. And if they're already interested, there's a funny thing, it's called reticular activation, and I'll try it out on you guys because I like doing this with men because it always works. I'm not being sexist, but it's quite funny.
I talk about the RIS a lot, so
awesome.
Great topic.
Cool, awesome. Can you think about a type of car or a make or model of car that you always thought, I really want one of those? What was it, Jason?
Probably a Ferrari.
Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. Nice car. So you see a Ferrari, you go, I really would love a Ferrari. Now, when you decided that that's what you were interested in, did you start to see them a few more times around the place, or you saw their ads, or you noticed stuff on TV or whatever? All of a sudden, oh my goodness, there's a Ferrari.
Because you're going to filter it in.
Absolutely. You've told your brain, I'm interested in that. So immediately it was always there, but now your brain has decided it's important. So now you've seen more of them. The dopamine chemical that's in there makes you want it more. So it's really simple. Or you, like you say, find the right people who really love what you do, solve their problem tell them how you can solve their problem for them. And then it's just a case of driving the dopamine desire to turn it from a need to a want. And you're done. You're done. Stick a fork in them.
This is exactly the same as finding a target market and bringing them to you. They're around you all the time. That great kind of customers around you right now, but you've been filtering them out with that RIS.
Absolutely. And the interesting thing is, all you need to do with your personal brand is just be interesting to them.
Yeah.
Just be interesting.
Yeah.
And they'll want to talk to you. So,
I took some notes. I wrote these things down. I'm not going to use it. It just it's just your own little method that you've kind of the way you use to explain it simply, right? And it's great. It's just brilliant. Simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication, is what I say. Many others say that too, right?
Yeah.
But so you saw my sister, because I haven't spoken to you since you saw my sister.
Heidi is amazing. She's absolutely awesome. And I keep in touch with her on Facebook. I can't wait to see her again when I go back at the end of the year. We'll be back again at the awards in November. So, no, I can't wait to see her again. She's awesome.
Awesome. She's got loads of cool stuff happening right now. I can't talk about it, but she's got all sorts of stuff going on. It's it's a bit secret, because she does a lot of voiceovers and does a bit of acting and loads of cool stuff. So talented. And she took us to a really cool hotel in LA, had some drinks by the pool, caught up with Jim Carrey. He was just coming in as we were leaving. So no, it was fun. No way.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was really awesome. I think if you spend 3 days in LA, eventually you will run into some sort of Hollywood star. They're everywhere. So
cool. I'm going to go there. The
question that you had today was, how do you get started in personal branding? And I think one of the things I talk to people about, a big part of it that people tend to skip over, is that personal branding really is a mindset. And I don't want to sound all airy-fairy and woo-woo because it's not my area, it's not how I work, but it's less about how you want the world to see you and very much around how you want to see yourself. And having that self-confidence and self-belief, like you say, that yes, you're doing something that's absolutely aligned with your natural skills and talents, your real love for what you're doing, the right people you want to work with, but you need to see yourself there. And the people who do it really well, they end up doing what I call living their brand. And they don't even have to try. It just comes instinctively to them. And it's funny because when they get to that point, they then contact you and say, oh, I've got this opportunity. What do you think? And it's perfectly aligned. Their instinct's perfect. They're just double checking with you before they go off and, take flight and live their brand, which is really cool. But it is a mindset. It's about how you see yourself and where you want to be known as being the best person to go to, which is really cool.
Yeah. Nice. Stefan, there was a question there from Doyle that I would like. It was cut off in the comment. It kind of went ... I'd love to hear what that is. You can kick me out to the lobby and come in and say it if you want. And
he's going to find it
get
now.
to that. Maybe.
Sorry, I'm crawling under notifications because you guys.
It was Australia Day today, Doyle. Where were you, Doyle? Fireworks. I didn't see the fireworks, but it sounded it was awesome.
So I'm trying to find out where was that question from Doyle. He just. Oh yes, I got that now. So I can put packages on. Okay. So what is the biggest thing you can do with personal branding? Wow, that's a question.
Big question.
Not for me.
Oh, go on, have a crack.
You can do anything you want, right? You
absolutely.
Go anywhere you want to. You can work with whoever you want to work with. You can change what you're doing. It's about designing your life how you want it to be, right? And I don't care. Yeah, all right, there are restrictions, and it's not going to be immediate snap of the fingers kind of stuff. But like you can do whatever you want, and it might take you a few years if you're starting out in a new industry. You know, I mean, I started in marketing about 5-6 years ago. It took me, 3 years before IBM invited me to join the futurist community of 62 people in the world. And, it took time, and yeah, it was painful, but it was worth it. And it's worth it because now I'm designing the life I want. I know a great facial aesthetic doctor in the UK. She's actually from Melbourne. Yeah. And she's designed her personal brand to the T, and she's designed the life she wants. And that's what it's about, right? It's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Doyle, it's nice to hear you from Perth, which is awesome. I was in Perth last year speaking at a conference. It's an amazing place.
Nice.
Amazing history over there. It's awesome. So,
nice,
I would agree with you, Nathaniel. I think one of the things I talk about, and it's a bit of my catchphrase really, is you can become well-known, well-paid and wanted. I mean, that's why you have a personal brand, is because you want to be well-known for the start, because as Nathaniel said, you want all those referrals. You want people to know you're the best, whatever it is, to send people to you. And you want to also, it's funny, Nathaniel's got a similar story to me. It took me 3 years to figure out my personal brand. 3 years. It's a long bloody time. It's a lot easier working with other people, Nathaniel? You can work at other people's personal brands so much quicker because you've got that luxury of being on the outside looking in.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, long time. But when I did it, when I figured out this is it, this is my niche or my niche if you're from the States, this is what I want to be known for. All of a sudden I had opportunities came to me and doors opened, and media from places I didn't even know existed would call me and say, hey, can you make a comment on this? Because you're the expert in that. And oh my goodness. Okay, sure. No problem.
Yeah.
Would you like an interview? So you need to become well known for that, and well paid. Absolutely. I mean, that was the difference. And I think Jason was talking about it earlier, the difference between the surgeon and the doctor. How would you rather be paid? A specialist surgical fee or a GP fee? So it's really about figuring out what you want to be worth and your value and how you can leverage that to, like Nathaniel says, live the life you want to live. And wanted is the last part of it, yeah? Well-known, well-paid and wanted. Who doesn't want to be wanted?
Yeah.
And if you're in a situation, there's a great story of a guy in England, and he was a journalist, I think, and he loved the idea of having chickens. And he lived right in the city, so there was no room. So he had this tiny little back courtyard sort of situation. And he decided to write a blog about raising chickens in the city. And for a whole year, that's all he did on this blog, and he had his job as well. But he was writing this blog about what sort of chickens and how did he build the chicken coop, and the fox got in and they figured this out, and what he fed them, and you got different coloured eggs and all these just amazing stories about raising chickens in the city. All of a sudden, he had magazines and media and radio stations ringing him saying, I understand you're raising chickens in London. So what's the story with that? And he became the chicken man. And he was on stage talking to people about this experiment that he did. And people wanted to know about how to do it. And he'd been invited to shows to speak about chickens in the city. And he became this chicken man because of his interest, because of his passion, He became wanted. Who do we want to? Oh, there's this thing about chickens. Who do we? Oh, get that guy, the chicken man. He'd be perfect. He was wanted. You know, so that's the thing. Everybody wants to be wanted, and it makes it easier than selling because people just want what you've got. They just want it.
Yes, that relates to the Deutsch Belief question. Like, what do you mean by design your personal brand? If you do not design it with experts, and that's worth it, you can tell, you're not mastering the outcome, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, of course. So just to come down from anxiety, everybody, that personal branding journey is worth it. Jump in, hire an expert. Don't go into some secret societies or something, but hire an expert with references that you can ask the customer, hey, what was it like? And people are gonna answer, because I found myself what was the first answer for those bullet question. What is the biggest thing you can do with personal branding? Well, you can build a life you don't have to take a vacation from. Actually, 17 years ago, so it took me longer because some learners are slower. I am.
Yeah.
But actually, this is it.
Absolutely.
I don't have to take a vacation from my life because I love what I do. I love who I am. I love what I'm working with, being with, collaborating with, and the frontier between entertainment, leisure, and work is very thin for me. I'm jumping from a door to another, and for me, it's like a schedule or momentum, and then I change momentum for maybe more family momentum or a more friends momentum, and then after it's going to be, because you have to make some deliverables, be very professional with your customers. That's going to be professional momentum. Well,
absolutely.
You're on to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's totally true, isn't it? Life is too short to either work with horrible people or be stuck doing something that you hate. It was funny. It was Australia Day here today, and in the morning, the first thing we did, of course, in Australia was went down to the beach, messed around in the surf. It was beautiful. Water was warm. It was clear. It was gorgeous. And I said to my husband at the time, I said, there are people who are sitting there all over the world going, oh, I wish I could go to Australia. Just bloody do it. Just get on a plane and go, Yeah. Life's too short to wish you were in a nice place.
I agree. And you've got to do it.
Yeah, nice place doesn't have to be Australia on a beach, of course. Just be in a nice place in your life. Be happy with what you do and who you work with and really love it.
Yeah, I agree completely. So Doyle's asked another question here. I mean, I think hopefully you'll agree with me. I think thought leadership is just a product of successful personal branding, right? You guys have both built thought leadership. Yeah, people look to you for information. They might never buy anything that you sell, right? But if they share it with other people who love it, then it doesn't matter, right? I mean, thought leadership is another one of these buzzwords, but people they love the word thought leader, but the hell, everybody's claiming to be this, and this, but actually the real thought leaders are they don't have to have a big network. They don't have to have loads of people. They just need to have authority, credibility, and trust, right? You have to trust them. And that's a thought leader. So Doyle's invited us to go and stay with him. I'd love to do that.
I saw that. We're all off to Perth, apparently.
All at once.
That's awesome.
When I move back to Spain, you can come and stay with me as well. So I'm planning a move back there. I don't know quite when, but it may be this year, but it may be a little bit next year. I don't know yet. Awesome. I'm just I'm really focusing on learning. I'm moving nearer to my friend. He's an award-winning photographer and photographic tutor. So we're focusing on building a project together, and I'm going to go learn about photography, because I think it's, that's the next thing. You get the wording right, don't you? And then you need someone to take some good shots, right? Because otherwise you look like an idiot.
Whereabouts in Spain is he, Nathaniel?
Who?
Your friend.
No. He's down in Plymouth. He lives down in the West Country. I'm going to move back. I've got a great photographer in Spain as well, but actually we're focusing on building a tool. So I've come up with a kind of strap line for it, and I'm not going to say what it is, but it's built by photographers for photographers.
Cool.
You like that?
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Tells you exactly who it's for and what it does.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's cool. It's cool. It's going to be really cool. We're really excited about it, actually.
Yeah.
So
Brilliant.
yeah, it's going to be great. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Cool. No, Spain's an awesome place. I lived in Spain for a couple of years. It was absolutely wonderful. Loved it.
Where did you live?
Well, the English are going to love this. I wasn't far from Benidorm, which is really bad.
That's all right.
I was actually in a village about, I don't know, a couple of k's away from there called Finestrat up in the hills. And, of course, they all spoke Spanish up there. It was gorgeous. So not far from Alicante. It was wonderful. Loved it. And then Doyle's asked another. Doyle's full of questions today.
Oh, I know. He wants all the goodies. He does. The goodies.
Where's the best place to start and what should I do first? It's actually a very good question, Nathaniel. What do you reckon? Where should you start?
Well, it just depends on what you're going to do and how and who you are, because I'm very specific in who I work with. I have an age group between, approximately 50 to 57 ish, and people have to be really in their career for 20, 30 years to work with me, I think, really, because I'm going to get the best results for them. And it's nice to focus on that because I know where I'm at. But I think they should learn about it first. They should actually, if they're ambitious enough, it's like, first of all, start with, are you happy in your life, right? Like, if you're not happy in your life, then you need to get a piece of paper out and make some notes of what would make you happy, and then you need to aim and find someone like you or me or or some of the other consultants out there, and actually start to design your life, design your brand, and move it towards the life you want, instead of just blindly being pushed around in your career by every company that hires you and every recruiter that just rewords you. Every recruiter comes along and they put these words together, and it's like, actually, if you took the time to put the words together before they even looked at your CV, right, and you said, no, these are the words I want to use, you're going to get a job which is going to earn you a load more money, and you're going to get it like this, right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's interesting. I've actually, again, I like codifying stuff. I've actually created a way of the place I start with people is finding their true north. That's exactly what you're talking about. It's figuring out
read that.
So if you get a piece of paper, like Nathan's suggesting, and a pen in front of you, and you draw a compass, just really simple, doesn't have to be really clever, just that crosshairs, north, south, west, east. Start at west. And West is really talking about what is it that you do. The W of West stands for what. What is it that you actually do? And this part is all about what are the problems that you solve. So, yes, you're an accountant maybe, or like you say, it could be a personal trainer or whoever. What is it that you actually do to help people? And just sit there and take some time to just start thinking, and especially as Nathan said, if you've been doing something for a long time, you do tend to forget the stuff that you've done. So what is it you do to help people? After that, go over to East. East stands for execution, which is the how. So, okay, this is what I do to help people, but how do I do it? What's the specific process that I use that I've created over the last, and my target audience is anyone who sells professional services who's been in business for at least 5 years. I try to catch them early because I want to stop them doing what I call WOFDAM marketing. I don't know if you've heard of WOFDAM marketing in Europe yet.
What's
WOFTAM. Waste of fucking time and money. So that's
there's loads of that going on.
Loads of that going on. So I try and catch them before they start doing that. I've just been swearing on the show. I'm sorry. I'm not normally as bad as this.
Don't worry. I can't do that. I'm wearing my grandfather's tie, so
okay.
He wouldn't like that. This tie, right? Seriously, this tie. My dad gave me some ties, right? And when I graduated wine studies college, my dad gave me like 2. Guild of Sommeliers wine ties, but I was in a bit of a rush to look smart, and I was like, no, I'm going to wear my grandfather, so it's like a 1920s tie, right? And it's great, it's silk, so
awesome. What a thing to hand down. I think that's brilliant to hand that down. Something about your grandfather's ties. That's very cool.
It's cool, but he had a brilliant personal brand, and
awesome.
on his gravestone they had I think there are about 5 words that really represented him, because he gave over $1 million US to charity in his life, and he won numerous awards. Won a medal. He was awarded a medal by Eleanor Roosevelt.
The gravestone. You posted a picture of the gravestone. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, how the hell do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be remembered like some selfish person who no one cares about, or do you want to leave a legacy? Like what do you want to do? You know, and those are the words that I just love thinking about. Like the words that, you know, you may not say those words like, I'm like this, I'm a leader, right? You don't say that about yourself. But if someone's going to say that on your stone, and they're going to put it on there, and you're in that grave, or you've been cremated, whatever, how amazing would that be to just have those? Just, you know, I was blown away because I didn't know him. I only saw that where, you know, like a couple months back, because I'm part of a cousins group in the States. So one of my cousins went there and took pictures at the family plot, because we've got a family plot there, and I was just blown away by that. It was just like, do you know what? Like, forget all these branding bits and pieces. Like, what do you want? Like, you know. Yeah,
absolutely. And don't wait till you're dead. Crikey.
Exactly. Do something with your life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll finish off the compass for people, because they might be sitting there going, okay, where will we get to? I love these conversations because we go off on all sorts of tangents.
I love this compass. So what were the first 2, just to refresh?
So the first one, so on your compass, you've got north, west, east, south. So I've done the west. West stands for what? What is it that you do? What's the problems that you solve? E stands for execution, which is the how. What's the process that you take people? And I actually, with people who've been doing something for a long time, Nathaniel, I tend to get them to write it. And, you know, first of all, I do this and do it as a numbered list.
Yeah.
There was one guy I worked with. He was a videographer, actually, a video specialist. And he got to, I think, point 18 before he even picked up a video camera.
Right.
And we ended up not positioning him as a videographer. That was just the tools that he used. Wow. He was a first impressions guy. That was what he was all about, was how to create a great first impression.
Right.
And doing it with your story on video. So he did all this stuff before he even picked up, but he thought, I'm a videographer. No, that's just what you use to do what you do. So go through that process and dig deep. So that's the how. Then go down to south. South's really easy. Just draw a line through it and turn it into a $sign, because south's all about your value. Yeah. What is it that you want to be valued for? Like you say, your legacy, your reputation, all sorts of things. But more importantly, how do you want to transform people's lives? What's the real value that you offer to other people? Because more than what they pay you to do is what they get out of it. So how do you transform people? What's the real value to what you do? And then lastly, go to north. And north really is your true north. And this is back to what we talked about earlier. What's your purpose? What's your passion? What drives you? Why do you keep getting out of bed of the morning and doing what you do? You know, because let's face it, there's some stuff you could be doing, like disappearing off to Australia, for example, go and join all over in Perth and, you know, sleep on the beach, who knows? But why do you feel so passionately about this cause that you have, you know, that you are out there and trying to help people for? So what's the real passion and the reason and your purpose? So if you pull all those things together, the what is it you do, how you do it, what the value is you deliver, and why you do it, there's your starting of your personal brand. And you can start from there and build outwards.
Lovely. That's a really simple explanation. I like that. I like the true north. I read that on your website, and I like the way that you've positioned yourself as being slightly different. Because look, there are loads of people claiming to do all sorts of things, and they don't have any experience. They don't have a process. Yeah, they don't have a process. They don't even have any passion for what they do. They just see it for the money, you know. And personal branding is hard to do. Like, you know, everybody says, oh yeah, you know, I can do that. It's like, well, okay, you go and sit down and you do a personal brand for yourself, and then you work out how hard it is. And they can't do it because they don't see you from the outside. Yeah, that's the thing. It's the same as a business, right? Like you don't work on the outside of your business until you got the inside right. And then by then you might not have the time, and you might be stuck on the inside doing the deliverables. How are you gonna hire someone to come in and they're gonna do the outside? And it's the same with the brand, right? It's like It's fun.
Yep.
I think it's great.
Absolutely.
I'm really pleased that you joined us today. Really pleased.
Oh, It's awesome. I couldn't let you boys have all the fun on your own.
Well, we're doing a load more of these. We're gonna do loads more of these because people they need to know about this stuff, and I think that there's still very few people that understand what personal branding can do for them, like, and also for the businesses. Like, I can't remember. I've got some figures somewhere that are ridiculous figures that the amount more social sharing that goes on from personal profiles versus brand accounts, etc. Like, it's ridiculous the difference in resource management and stuff, you know. So what fun.
Absolutely.
What fun.
And you're right, there's so many different ways that you can get your message out there now. It's funny, I don't think there's a lack of either information or channels that you can use. The thing that is the more worrying trend is the lack of clarity that people have. And they're just trying to be everything to everything. There's a saying in New Zealand, you can't help every Mary in the dairy, you know, and that's the big problem that I see all the time. Is everyone just wants to be everything to every. I've actually got a business card and I use it in my presentations, and it was put in my letterbox a couple of Christmases ago, and he's a cheap man in ute hire. I should send it to you. And he does everything: mowing lawns, dropping people off at the shops, picking stuff up for you. He's got a bouncy castle hire, limousine driving. He does Elvis Presley tribute. Just, you know, everything. He did discos, everything on this thing. You know, 24 hours a day he's available. It was a brilliant card to drop in my letterbox because immediately my brain went, oh my God, I'm going to use that. I mean, what if he just chose to, I don't know, mow lawns dressed as Elvis? You know, I would pay to see that, and I don't even have a lawn. In the news, you know, people would be interviewing him. He'd have franchises all over the country. But no, he's just trying to do everything.
Yeah, you can't be all things to all people. So I like that. That's a great phrase from New Zealand. So which part of New Zealand are you from? North or south?
Yeah, I was born in Auckland. I'm not a Southlander, unfortunately. No, born in Auckland, but I lived in Wellington for about 15 years, and that's when I worked with Starchies and Ogilvies and Clemminges. Amazing time to work with those incredible agencies. It was awesome. I look back now and I go, oh my God, I actually did that.
Really it's great. New Zealand's a great country. I spent about 5.5 weeks driving through there. Did nearly everything. Hot water beach, the giant Corey tree, the glacier, and
awesome.
Like, seriously, just so much. It's ridiculous. There's so much to see. It's just
in such a small country, you can go surfing in the morning and skiing in the afternoon. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Well, I'm quite happy here in Australia. It's lovely. We love living here. Beautiful. When it gets down to about 21 degrees, 20 degrees, people start getting a bit cold.
There's me. I'm wearing like 5 shirts and So, and it was funny, I just spent, as you know, I was in New York and I caught up with your stepsister in LA and things. And it was, I think it was -3 in Boston on the last day we were there. Wow. And it was awesome, beautiful place to be, but I was over the cold. I'd had enough by then. I was ready to come home for the summer. Yeah. I can understand that.
What might it cost to create a personal brand? Doyle's asking more questions about.
I know. Well, it just depends. It depends on who you want to work with, how far you want to go, whether you want to amplify it. It really just depends on the amount of work involved. I mean, I have a basic price that I do, which is at the moment my basic price. That's just £1,000 to work out the wording for people, and then I go up from there, depending on if they want amplification on social media, if they want lead generation, if they want, it just depends really. But that's, I went for that price to make it affordable for people. And actually the people between 50 and 57 are a lot less hassle for me than a lot of other people, because they know they know how to explain a lot of what they do already. So it's reducing the amount of work for me, so I can kind of keep that sort of streamlined. But at the end of the day, my old business associate, Douglas, he charges, $3,500. It just depends what you're doing. You know what it's like. It's like how long is a piece of string, and how much work is it gonna be, and have you caught me on a good day? Am I in a good mood?
Am I feeling generous? Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it's a good one. No, it's you're right, and it's exactly what I think Jason was saying earlier, or was it Stefan? I can't remember. One of us said, you could try and do it on your own. That would cost you very little, but it would take a very long time. It was you, Stefan, who said that. Absolutely, a very long time. Or you could pay someone to help you. I mean, I've got online programs that start at ridiculous prices, like $17 is something, but it's like, it's 5 videos. It'll give you a really good foothold to get started on something. But the interesting thing is that it's all about time. I think the most valuable currency on the planet today is time. Bitcoin, I'm sorry, you might be special, but it's time. Seriously, it depends on how long you want to stuff about before you get that clarity. Like you said, Nathaniel, it's too short. If you want to stuff around and take 3 years, like we did, to do it ourselves, go for it. But if you want to take 6 months and get on with it.
It does take a long time. I mean, I was very lucky that I sort of started and tried to do it, and then bumped into this gentleman who'd written the brand strategy for Patronus, and he was like, "You need a brand," and I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, you need a brand, and I'm going to teach you how to do it." And he was the most brutal man I've ever imagined working with. He was so hard on me, it was ridiculous, and I learned ridiculous amounts about strategic marketing, about business. And if I used techno speak in anything, he would tell me off, because
he would you over the knuckles.
Oh, he would go crazy. Yeah, I mean, he's a barrister as well. So, awesome. We're talking a man who would stand up and defend criminals in court, or not criminals, people who are being accused of. So he's a criminal lawyer with a degree in international business law and marketing. And I was just like, by the end of a session with him, it was just like, no, I can't cope with this anymore. And that went on for like 6 months to a year of mentoring and and it's not an easy thing to learn. Like, you've got agency experience. I've learned it from someone with agency experience. Anyone can pretend to be anything they want to be, but if you can't deliver and you can't help people to brand themselves, then you can be a personal stylist, right? But if you can't show people how to get dressed properly, then you're not a personal stylist, And there's a big crossover in that as well with personal branding. Social media as well. Social media people are like, yeah, we can help you with your personal branding. It's like, well, actually, you don't have a process. You think that just a picture and a few little buzzwords is going to brand someone. And I'm sick of this, because they're everywhere and they don't know what they're doing.
And it's really it's quite it's only skin deep, isn't it? You start to scratch the surface a little bit, and as you said, there's nothing there. There's no foundation work. So, but you're right. It is challenging. It's not an easy thing to figure out your personal brand. And I know when I run my workshops, it's not unusual to have somebody in tears because they go through such a shocking self-discovery process, and they realize that they've been doing something that's not aligned with who they really are. And I've brought something up from their past that they're going, oh my God, why wasn't I doing this years ago? Wow. Why was I trying to stuff this down in my life? And I should have been doing that. Why didn't I embrace all these sorts of things? So it is challenging. And also, I think people have a general generosity of spirit, and they just want to help other people. So they're so desperate to get out there and help other people, either as a personal trainer, an accountant, or a financial advisor, whatever it is that they do, a real estate agent, doesn't really matter. They've got that real generosity of spirit. And when they don't have clarity, it's so frustrating for them, because they just want to help people, but they can't explain how, and they can't explain why, and they can't do it, build a reputation, because they don't know what they're doing. They get really frustrated. So it isn't easy, but like you said before, it's blimmin' well worth it, really worth it.
Stefan says that a lot.
It's like that. I wouldn't panic and be worried about too many whatever social media experts you have as a commodity everywhere in the social media, because actually you don't fool the markets. People are getting more and more educated. They are more and more responsible and accountable for their own decisions, right?
Yeah.
So it's like any market, every crook or pretender doing an expertise, if they do not deliver structured deliverables, they would drown in their own fantasies, right?
Yeah.
And I like to engage a lot of time with Dolpulo because he's asking always relevant questions straight to the point, such as what might it cost, and then you, Nathaniel, thank you for addressing that need. And he was also asking for what tool do I need. Of course, you need an expert to help you to structure what you are trying to communicate outside of yourself. Personal branding is not what you say you are; it is what you do. And then
Absolutely.
all those actions are called behaviors in some consideration. And you can also because I think don't ask where to start. So when people are not ready to invest and jump in a personal branding journey, I would start. Okay, if you want to be certain about personal branding and learn, go in a community. So I would advocate to join bb.com, which I did a year ago. And there you have a blog where you can blog on and start to share your passions, and then you would be rewarded because actually when you share your passion on LinkedIn and then you got 56 views, you're disappointed. When you are tweeting something that links to a blog post on your website, you got 156 views. Oh, you're still disappointed. I would just say to people, try to blog in what I call an affinity network community because it's all about passion. If it's about passion, it's about affinity. And then you start talking about your passion, and then you're going to be rewarded because you see that the audience is coming by thousands overnight and days. And within the week, you're having 5,000 views. You're saying there's something wrong. You copy paste your same BB blog post and you shoot that on LinkedIn and you get not bad 500, but it doesn't match 5K, right? And you go, okay, maybe I was lucky today. And then you start a second one, a 10th one, a 20th one, a 13th one, and you go 400K views this month. Me, I was a crackman somewhere in a shop on the planet, and then have a 500,000 audience.
Pretty good, actually.
Yes, and you start to say, oh, so I have value. And then you say, can I have kind of a night job apart from my day job from that? And then you see that there is a discipline called paid sponsored content. Actually, there are brands that say, can you write for me because I like your style, I like your audience, I like your relationship with your audience. And this is why I would really advocate people to join my bb.com. This is where my BBTV comes from, because actually it was a discussion group that turned into a technology, then a web TV channel, and you're on, right? And just for the numbers, the bb.com is a Spanish company, started in Madrid 2 years ago as a social media platform, and over 24 months, they grew up to 12 million users. You don't have any blog post platform / social media platform. You can engage with other users, 12 million people. You don't have that here on social media. So this is going to be a great player. So if people want to jump into personal branding, they should try that tool. Then after, if they want to professionalize that only for their own brand, the sake of their own brand, then they should hire a personal branding marketer or participate into a workshop to have what I call the personal branding journey. It's quite simple. I do not regret the path I followed for personal branding, and it could lead to great business opportunities and changing careers. And I'm just saying, if you don't jump in the water, you will never know that the water is actually hot and you're comfortable, and you know what, you can swim because actually we are floating. We don't we don't have to be afraid of that, man. Once you're started, you have to remind you when you were 1 year old or 2 year old, you make your first step. It was like, should I put my foot in front of the other? And then you started to walk. And yeah, you walk, and your parents were, oh, and that's the same excitement and happiness that you have when you're starting to build your personal branding. At some point, you are what you do, and you don't think about your personal branding, but people around you, people that want to engage with you, they see it. They are not even guessing what the amount of work you have done and money that you invested, tools, experts to get some assistance and guidance. And after, it's discipline. You need to practice what was the game plan built and the blueprint of your personal branding. So
well, thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap up on this. I'm gonna leave my place to Jason so he can say hello to everyone. So next week, same place, same time.
Awesome.
Thank you, Lauren.
You're very welcome. I think Stefan said it also perfectly. We're living in the age of the authentic brand.
Yeah.
You can't fake it till you make it. It's just not worth it. So, and I love that idea of joining a community. It's so true. A community of like-minded people will lift you far higher and far faster than you can do it on your own by a long time. So, it's worth doing it, definitely. Yeah, awesome.
Thanks,
Lauren. For having me on, guys. I'm looking forward to doing it again at some stage. We might have to do an evening in the UK, so it's morning over here, so a few more Australians can jump on.
Cool. So, yeah, I'd love to do that.
Obviously, Perth's not too bad because it's a couple of hours in front of us or behind us, one or the other. So
drop me. If you're going to organise it, just drop me a time and whatever. Because Stefan, he's just rammed. Yeah, so I'm trying not to overbook him or I get in big trouble and he goes a bit crazy. Yeah. So
awesome. Sounds like a plan. Thanks, guys.
Thanks ever so much. See you soon.
See ya.
No, I think he's kicked Jason out. Well, thanks everyone for dropping by. Really appreciate it. I'm not sure what happened to Jason there. I think he was going to drop in and say goodbye. Let's just see. Is he here? Stefan.
They just left, so I was still there.
Did you kick it? Did you kick him out?
No, I would never do that.
You kicked him out, man.
No, I didn't because that's 11:15. I think.
Yeah, we have to go, right?
Next gig that we have is in 15 minutes.
Right.
And he's probably busy too. I really appreciate Lauren's presence today because she kept led.
She's very good. Yeah. Very, very good. And, I like her as a person as well.
Yeah, and we'll drop her website with Facebook.
Yeah, of course.
Because she's got a great company of hers in Australia called the Ultimate Business Propeller, and she's been doing some stunts like can you do a 4-story time elevator pitch? And I was blown away by the performance. Like, oh, okay,
it's very difficult.
I really have to work harder because
I need to create an elevator myself.
He was like, oh,
yeah,
and he was smashing it. Okay. So, thank you, Lauren, as well.
Thanks everybody for watching. We really appreciate it. And if you wanna grab a copy of my book, the link is somewhere in the comments. And drop by, ask us what's going on. We can help you with all of your marketing needs and your business ecosystems, right?
Exactly. And we will drop also the BB's link, so for people to try out personal branding, understand who are the other people with personal branding, and then after they can engage with you, at their earliest convenience to have a detailed information about how to structure a personal brand.
Yeah.
What does it cost? How long does it take?
Yeah.
Where do they need to start from? Right.
Yeah.
Nathaniel, thank you for today.
Thank you. And next week we're going to talk about something slightly different. We're going to talk about the authority and credibility boosting statements.
Exactly.
So it's going to be fun.
Webinar. By the time that time goes by, every topic about personal branding are going to be featured, explained, and And that would be educating for everybody
Exactly.
that are interested with personal branding and what can personal branding do for them.
Yeah, and that's right. Lauren agrees with me. It's about authenticity, and she surely is authentic as you are. Yeah. So thanks, Lauren. Thanks, Stefan and Jason. Appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
Okay, thank you guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys.